everything. So, anyways, I want to go ahead and bring on our first guest for the show. Actually, we will be talking with two guests today. I didn't want to go ahead and foreshadow the show a little bit. We'll be talking with Jim Yeager. He is an expert contributor to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show and owner of Yeager Flooring. And also on the second half of the show, you want to stay tuned to listen to David Etheridge. He is the CEO and founder of SavvyCard. You can check this out over at savvycard.com, and this is a product that is going to revolutionize the way real estate agents do business, and probably a lot of other people in the marketplace as well. He's got a very great product designed for mobile applications, and he's in studio today, and we'll be talking with him here in just a little bit, so please stay tuned. I want to go ahead and bring on Jim Yeager, who has been in the flooring industry since 1944, and well, his company has been in the business since 1944 at least. I don't think you've been in the flooring business that long.
I'm already old, not that old.
But you've been in the remodeling industry for the last 10 years as well. They have received the Super Service Award from Angie's List for the past 7 years. Yeager Flooring prides himself on quality workmanship and superior customer service. Yeager has a shop-at-home concept, meaning that they come to the customer with their samples and work with the customer in their home to find what is exactly what they want. Jim, welcome to the show once again.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. So tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and the history of your company.
Well, the company that founded in Philadelphia some 70 years ago. We're now celebrating that 70-year anniversary. And as you said, primarily we started in the flooring business, and in the last number of years, we started getting into the remodel, and we're pretty heavily into it now. We have 3 state-certified general contractors that are on our staff, employees. And we found that the customers really appreciate when you have usually wide scope of work to be done, that they'd rather not go out and get a person to do other things like drywall and painting and moldings and trim carpentry, doors, and so on. So it's kind of evolved over the last few years into total remodeling. The only things that we are not licensed to do, that we have associates that work with us day in and day out, are plumbing, electrical services, and roofing.
So you have a lot of employees that are doing the work for you. I noticed that a lot of contractors sub out the work, and I think that's a great advantage to your company, that you have the control over the people that are going out to these people's properties and everything and bidding this work, correct?
All interior remodeling is all employees, so they're all, employees of the company, all licensed in the trade, not just one person having the license and then 3 people doing the work that are not licensed. So.
Yeah, that's selling the bank properties that I do. I'm constantly working with contractors, and it's a problem in the region, Tampa Bay region, and probably nationally too, that somebody gets a license and then they basically loan it out to other people. They pay them a fee, and then they go out and use that person's license and everything. And it's a problem. So when you're working with a contractor, you really want to make sure that that person is the person who's going to be responsible for the job as well. Is that something that you see on a day in and day out basis with all people in the Tampa Bay region, and all the fraud and the misrepresentation of the licensing?
Yeah, it's gigantic what you see and hear every day, and it's so much nicer to be able to go out and tell somebody that you'll take care of it from start to finish in all aspects. Follow all the local codes and rules, and like we've had some conversation with houses pre-78 that require lead testing,
right? Where
there's maybe 15% of the contractors have the license to do the work, and most do not. So
what are some ways other than, obviously if you talk to a contractor and he gives you his license, he gives you his insurance, but how can you really protect yourself from him just calling some other local handyman who's really not skilled, to perform that work? What advice would you give to the listenership for selecting contractors?
This Department of Consumer Affairs is one thing. SunBiz is another, that you can go in and look at the licensing and make sure that they have it. We put all of our information is on our website at yeagerflooring.com. It'll show all of our liability certificate of insurance, workman's comp waivers, in which cases most of the time in interior remodeling, everybody does have the workman's comp because of not subcontractors in that area. So the other thing that a homeowner should do, if you, for instance, on a certificate of liability insurance, just request that certificate, that could be good and not good. You'll never know if it was canceled, if they didn't pay their premium. But if you're listed as an additional payee on the bottom, which we recommend and we do for jobs, that way they can see if there's any change or any drop or lack of payment, they know this contractor does not have insurance to be working on your property. So
Yeah, I had an issue with a property, and I talked about it on my show, several months ago, where we hired it was a situation where a buyer had the property under contract, and the lender was requiring that the roof be redone on the property, and he wanted to hire his contractor. And so we let him use the contractor of his choice. The person supplied their license and insurance to me, and we approved the work on behalf of the seller. Then that particular buyer ended up getting something happened where he couldn't close on the property, so we had to put it back on the market. And then it was, another buyer came along, got it under contract, did a roof inspection, found the roof was completely done wrong. Called the contractor. He's like, I don't have anything to do with it. I call, so-and-so to deal with it. And it was a big mess. We ended up getting the city involved, and he wouldn't cooperate. He kept saying, oh, so-and-so's handling it. And what he did was he just passed it over to a little handyman outfit. And the roof, was really done poorly. And the code inspector who signed off on it, he did so in a hurry. When the new buyer came back out there and said, no, you need to take a second look at this, he's like, yeah, you're right. So they revoked the final permit on the gentleman, and we gave the buyer a discount on the property, and he said he'll deal with the contractor after the closing. I don't know what ever became of the property after that. But, it's a problem that plagues, us every single day. All he did was just call somebody else to, go out there who wasn't even a roofer. And he probably made, $300-400, and so it's good that to have a company as reputable as yourselves with the professionals that you have working for you, because there's a lot of people out there who really shouldn't be in the business, in my opinion.
The other thing, there's a great tool that's available out there. It's Angie's List. You hear a lot about it. They do a lot of advertising, and really, it's truly the only way that you can get knowledge of people that you're contemplating on hiring to do work. There's mixed things. You hear different ads against paying for it, but anything of value you're going to pay for one way or the other. So
yeah, and I see that you're the recipient of the Super Service Award from Angie's List. I think for the last 7 years, correct?
Last 7 years.
Very
in
nice.
Multiple categories, yes.
And you also have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau as well, correct?
Yes.
Well, very, very good stuff, and you also come highly recommended, by the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. I've worked with Jim fairly recently on some of my jobs. He's done a great job, very communicative and very willing to help out. So comes highly recommended, and you can catch his information over at YeagerFlooring.com, and you can also find him over at TampaBayRadio.com on the Expert Contributors tab. Stay tuned. Got to take a quick break, but coming back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more with Jim Yeager about some of the products that they offer, and also a special financing option that they have available. So if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. We'll be back in a moment.
You're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Meloni. Now, here's Jamie.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome once again to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. We're currently talking with Jim Yeager, fellow expert contributor here to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show, and also owner and founder of the company. And Jim, I want to talk a little bit about some of the products that your company offers. You said there's a new product out there, some waterproof flooring that you wanted to elaborate on. So tell us a little bit about this product.
Yeah, it's really a cool product, Jamie. It's called CoreTech. It is a product that looks identical to hardwood floors. It's made of limestone, vinyl, some cork material, and some other binder-type products. That the coolest thing with it, besides the looks and what have you, the number one problem in Florida is the wet slabs. That's an issue in every home. This particular product would loan itself in an area that we know, as we test every floor prior to putting floors, the water content that is beneath the house in areas like on lakes and different real wet areas. But the product looks identical to wood, can go over top of existing tile, so you can eliminate a lot of the demo and dust for where you normally have to take up existing tile. It's not normally a good idea to go over top. It can go over top of concrete that has some imperfections, cracks, as long as they're not real bad ledging cracks. Hardwood floors it can go over, or laminate. The good thing is it can get 100% wet, and it'll dry out fine. And there's really no other floor that can get 100% wet unless it's a like a floor that you would have, say, in a McDonald's or something, where it has
Not even
sanitary
ceramic
coat.
tile? I mean,
Well, tile can, but if you have a flood, even tile that gets wet underneath, because it's all thin-setted down, it's still not a good idea. I mean, normally you can dry it out, but sometimes it can still hold the possibility of mold and what have you. Whereas this is meant just to get as wet as can be. There's no expansion, no contraction. Still cuts with a chop saw, so it's not like a vinyl. It's just really a nice product. Seen it out in Las Vegas in February of last year, and we've been selling it residential, commercial. Just really a cool floor.
So, Jim, what you're saying is that for a property which is in a flood zone, you would suggest to install this kind of flooring?
Sure. If in fact they're looking for a wood look, and there is a lot of areas, especially South Tampa, in some of these older homes, that wood is not a real good idea, nor is laminate, even though that has an underlayment underneath plastic. Eventually that's going to dry, it cracks, and the water is going to find its way through. But if you have a dishwasher leak or refrigerator leak or the air conditioner, normally, I mean, they can be catastrophic. You may have to rip the entire floor out because it won't match the new, and whereas this, again, you can put it in a swimming pool and there's no issues.
What about the noise factor? I know with like a laminate, you walk on it, it's very noisy. Hardwood it's not. What's the noise factor with this?
Actually, good point. I mean, and the best part of this particular floor is multifamily, where it has a 62 or 63 ICC rating for sound. So it doesn't have that clickety-clack, and it does have cork in it, so it's quiet, and it's comfortable, too. So, on your joints and what have you, it's really an awesome floor. And the visual on it is really the selling point. The rest of all that stuff is just icing on the cake, but the visuals are awesome.
So this was my question, and I see you have a brochure here, and those are pictures. I would think you have seen the floors, actual floors, and maybe you can show the pictures on the camera here. But how close is it to, as you've seen it in real, how close is it to looking like wood, really?
The funny thing is that when we went to Surfaces, as the floor covering show for basically the world in Las Vegas last year, that was the neatest thing. That it was the #1 product at the show, and you would have to literally be on your hands and knees. And I didn't even know then, really, if it would do much good. It just looks identical to hardwood, and some of the nicest, newest looks that there are in the market.
What is the cost factor associated with it versus hardwood and laminate?
It's between laminate and hardwood. So,
Okay.
it's about $8 a foot installed, but it's done. You don't have to mess with it.
And is this something that you see catching on in the construction industry here in the coming years?
Well, LVT, luxury vinyl tile, is a real hot commodity right now, and it has gained popularity over the years. It gets hot, it gets cold. But the thing with LVT, it will show every imperfection in the floor beneath, whereas this floor does not show any imperfection beneath. There's only one negative with this, where there is anything with a rotogravure or a film finish. If you drag some really heavy appliance across it, you'll mar it. The good thing is with the locking system, the board can be pulled out and another one put back in. So.
And the good thing also, if people are interested in this and other products, is your company offers a 7-year financing option available. Elaborate on this for the listenership.
Yeah, that is also something really good. When you see these different deals that are out there for interest-free financing, in fact, it is interest-free to the consumer. We all use it, or have used it. I know at least we have on furniture and different things. Those fees, there's always a fee associated with that, and that fee is obviously in the product that you're purchasing. You may not know it, it's not a line item, but there's, again, like we say, there's nothing for nothing out there. Whereas in the construction end of things, we have the ability on our website where you can go in and get the interest-free. The money goes directly to the homeowner, does not come through, a third party like ourselves or whatever. You can use it at our place or any other place. And the nice thing is with the 7-year financing, it's up to 7 years at a rate of 4.99% with approved credit, of course. But it's an awesome deal for the large renovations. I mean, large renovations, when you go and purchase a home, we just signed contracts on one this morning. Depending upon the size, $100,000 it goes pretty quick in our type of business. You put in new kitchen, new floors, paint, remove popcorn, texture, crown mold, baseboards, and what have you. You'll hit numbers pretty quick. And, at that rate, I don't know of anything else out there that you can find, and it's exclusively through the construction partners that they've aligned with. So,
is there a certain minimum purchase amount?
No.
So it could be a couple $1,000 job up to a couple $100,000 job, correct?
Right. But if the smaller it is, then you would take advantage. On the same website, it'll show you 18-month, 12-month, 24-month options, again, that you can use for the smaller dollars. But the big dollars are the ones that, normally have to go get a second mortgage, or may have to get a second mortgage or whatever. And, of course, any of these things you wouldn't do until after you're closed and the house is delivered before applying for credit,
Right.
in the process. But it does work, and we've been using it, and it's a really great tool. And it doesn't cost, unless it states that it costs a $100,000 deal, they're not going to do interest-free for 7 years. But at a 4.99%, again, based upon credit, if the credit score was not that great, it would.
Yeah. Well, it's a great product out there to be able to offer the consumers out there in the marketplace and everything. So commend you for offering that to the people in your company. And so we got to head in here to a break here in just a moment here. But real quick, you get in touch with Jim Yeager over at YeagerFlooring.com, and don't let the website confuse you. You're also involved in kitchen, baths, and full renovations. Correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's not only just a flooring company, but a kitchens, baths, renovations, basically a broad general contractor. So feel free to get in touch with him for all of your building and construction needs. And if you didn't, you can always catch him over at my website at tampabayradio.com via the Expert Contributors tab. Coming back from the break, we're going to be talking with David Etheridge, CEO and founder of SavvyCard. So please stay tuned to that. It's definitely a product worth listening to. And again, you're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WH&Z. We'll be back in a moment.